Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I want to talk about is a watch. Every collector, every mechanical watch collector should have at least one. And this is something with multiple time zones. It could be two or it could be several, depending on the kind of watch you want to get. Now, the most obvious reason I think that, well, and the reason why I think dual time zone watches were developed, also referred to as GMT, sometimes world time watches, is because they are used in travels. You go from one place to the next. However, I think during the pandemic, one thing we learned is that, especially with remote communication, man, you're talking with people all over the world. I talked to a friend in Oklahoma quite often, but then I have a lot of communication with people in Europe, some in Asia, you know. And in order to know, I don't want to call them at 3 o'clock in the morning or something, or some other kind of communication. It helps to have a watch that says, "Oh, okay, well, it's in Geneva, it's 6 hours, I guess, later than we are in what I call the New York time zone, even though I'm just part of the Eastern time zone." So some of the things I found out that I thought were sort of interesting is at the start you got 24 different time zones of 24 hours, the world turns. And the sort of the 0 point, this was set up by the English, so they can put it where they want to. It's called the prime meridian, and GMT stands for Greenwich Mean Time, which goes right through Greenwich, England. And this is where everything to the east of it is a plus time, to the west of it is minus time, until it hits the international date line. That's where a whole day changes. You're on one side and you just cross it and you're on the next day. That's how come they put it in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so that it wouldn't mess up too many people. Okay, some countries have a half-hour offset. For example, Iran and India both have a half-hour offset. But other countries do too. One of the most interesting is Australia. Now, Australia's got 3 time zones. It's got the western one, which is in Perth, and then it has the eastern one, which would be around Melbourne and Sydney. But then in the middle, it has another time zone that would be, I guess they're called the Northern Territories and Southern Territories. Darwin would be one of the cities, and they have a half-hour offset. So you're going from Sydney to Darwin, you have a half-hour offset, and then from Darwin to Perth, you have another half-hour offset. Really interesting stuff. China has one time zone. That's it. And so no matter how far away they are and how many time zones are around it, it's just one time zone. So if somebody is in Beijing, which is in the eastern part of China, contact somebody in Kashgar, which is in the far western part of China, this is 12 o'clock, okay? But if they go across the border into Kyrgyzstan, let's say they go visit a friend in Uzgen, 2 hours difference. It's really interesting stuff going on, and I think you can find out a lot about stuff just by playing around with your multiple time zones. In the same longitude, I found out that the Canadian Maritime provinces are on the same longitude as Venezuela and Western Brazil and Paraguay. Yeah, it's just all kinds of things like this. Where I am in the New York time zone, we're in the eastern United States, but this is in the westernmost part of northern South America. Anyway, okay, so maybe you didn't care about knowing that, but if we're doing things with not just travel, but internet travel, good thing to know. So let's take a look at some watches with multiple time zones. Here's one of them one of my favorite, just sort of simple dual time zones watches is the Rolex Explorer 2. It's got a big orange hand, and that's for your second time zone. So right now it's showing it's at 10 after 10, I guess would be a local time. And then it's showing, so it'd be 10 after 5 because the second time zone is on the 5. So that would be how that would be read. That's a very simple one. Now, this is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Control Geographic, a little more sophisticated. First of all, your second time zone, you set it so that you can see down at the bottom there you have all of these different cities. And I think it's set right now on New York. And so that would be the time, that would be the local time or the away time, depending on how you set it up. And we'll say it's the away time, and your local time is wherever you are. And you have, it's like 10:15, but it's 7:15 at your other time zone. The other thing that's really handy on there is it has on the just right off of between the 7 and 8 o'clock, just off of that, there's a little dial that's a day-night. That's helpful. If you're looking and say, I'm going to call so-and-so, and that thing indicates that it's late at night, you don't want to do that. It's just a handy thing. Now, following that even more so, here's a Parmigiani Fluide Toric Hemispheres retrograde. And this one, the retrograde, is just your retrograde calendar on it. But the thing about this watch for dual time zones is that you can see on the right side, it's got two dials on it. It's like, oh, I've got one. This is not the retrograde version. This is the original version. It's got these two crowns. This one sets the current time. And when you turn it, it turns both of the time zones at the same time. You set the second time zone with this upper one, and once it's set, it only sets one time zone. And then when you want to set the time, you can set it to your local time, and it does the upper one too. But the thing about this, I think that's important, right here and then right here, you have day and night. And so you can check to see if your friend's awake. If you want to, I'm going to send them a Zoom request, and we'll talk, figure out the time. This is a really excellent watch. It won the 2017 Grand Prix Travel Time Award watch prize. So it's again, it's one of those. Here's some other ones. There's several. It's just all kinds of them. These are all just simple dual time zones. The Hanhart's a German watch, has got something called the SK60 GMT. It's got that a black hand, and at the tip is a bright yellow arrow, so you can see the second time zone with that. In the middle is the Allanga and Sunda Saxonia dual time. Beautiful watch with a blue hand for the second time zone. And then over on the far right is a Harbring 2 Globetrotter, and it's got a big red hand that's very easy to see. And it also has it's got a big 12 at the top, and then between the 5-minute indexes, it has the 24-hour numbers. So you got, and every other one, so you got 1, 3, 5, and so forth on up to 23. It's another nice kind of dual time zone. Now this one, the Fabergé Visionnaire DTZ, this is another one that won a Grand Prix. This one is, the thing I like about this, it is so simple. You're telling the time at a glance somewhere else. It's showing 10:10, but the 24 is 12 midnight someplace. So wherever the offset is, and so you set the local time with your two hands, and then in the center you put whatever the offset's going to be. Now, couple watches. These are world timers, and these are really great, especially, if you're dealing online with a lot of different people simultaneously, or in a lot of different places in the world. That happens a lot. You can see, not only can you see the night and day, you can see the sort of this inner band or inner track. You can see these on the Patek Philippe World Time. You have 7, 8, 9, 10, and there's a little sun. Now, that means those cities are in the daytime, and then the ones in the dark, with the black track with the white numbers, those are at night. And then, so that's another thing. There's another example of it, the Louis Vuitton Escale time zone. This one you set up wherever you are is a 1 at the top. And so it says a PAR for Paris. They use abbreviations on this one. And then you set that for the time, and then you simply, right now it's showing it to be 10:10, like most of them do. And then you because it's 10:10, because right underneath Paris it says 10 at the top. It takes a little getting used to. My wife has one. She has the more colorful version. They're really great for looking up, who else, what time it is elsewhere in different places. Now, here are a couple unusual ones. They're really different. I have this one. It's called the Daniel Roth Metropolitan 24 Cities, and it's fun watch to have. It's not the most practical watch, so for dual times, because you got your local time, and then you have your away time that is exactly 12 hours different. So here, if you're in Paris, for example, it's 12 hours different in Samoa. So I don't know, unless you got something going in Samoa. And the way you have to set it up, like mine's set to New York. New York shows up on the bottom, and then I have Bangkok at the top. Well, I always know what time it is in Bangkok, but I don't know. It's sort of a fun watch. Like I said, it's not the most practical watch. One thing it has, though, that's really amazing, you can see there on the picture, the little W and the S over on the opposite side of the crown. And they're on the side, they're little pin pushers. And when you go from winter to summer and you change from daylight savings to standard, you just push one of those and it pops one way or the other for you. It's great. I mean, you don't have to go through a lot of winding. Another one that I have, this is a great watch. I love this watch. This has dual time zone, and it's set to Geneva and New York, and it has jumping hours on both of these different time zones, and then it has a retrograde for the minutes. It's something you can tell that at a glance. They set this up so they could have a very thin one. This is a Van Cleef & Arpels, and a very thin gentleman's watch. This other one, this is a very different one. This little subdial up here is simply offset for your hours. For your local time is just the hands going around, but then your hour offset is up here, and you just set it with this little pusher on here, and then wind it up like a regular watch for the rest of it. A little Jaeger-LeCoultre with a Jaeger 736, no relation between the two. Well, anyway, that I think would be important watch to have some kind of dual time. It can be a simple one with just the hour offset, or it can be something fancier like this one, where you can have the half-hour offsets with this if you want to set it up that way. But not only for travel, but more importantly in today's world for the internet, it's a great watch to have. Let me know what you think. If you've got a cool one, let me know about it. And this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.